Hey guys, we're going to talk about brushes and how to use them properly for scenic painting because it's my pet peeve in life. Like, I hate ruined brushes. And if you take really good care of your brush, it'll stay good for like 20 years. And it just really drives me crazy when people don't take good care of their brushes. So, let's talk brushes, okay? It's going to be very similar to our head of hair. I'm going to compare a brush to your head of hair. So you got a brush, you got the handle. This metal part that holds all the bristles in, this is called the ferrule. Right here where the bristles just start to come out of the ferrule is called the heel. And then we all obviously have the bristles of our brush, the little hairs, okay? So again, handle, ferrule, heel right there, and then bristles, okay? First thing when you're painting, no matter what it is you're painting, before you dip your brush into paint, you want to dip it into water first, okay? Because if you dip a dry brush into paint, because it's dry, the paint on it will dry faster. And if paint dries onto a brush, then it ruins the bristles pretty much forever. So it's a good precaution to stop that from happening by just dipping it simply into some water first, okay? And a big thing about scenic painting is just controlling your water. Painting with water and controlling it. Use a lot of water in scenic painting. So when I do dip it in, see, it tends to drip a lot of water. So knowing that all that water is there, when I go to dip it into paint, it could water down my paint unnecessarily. So I always dip it in and like squeeze it or like kind of do this. And typically I also kind of dry it off a little bit. So it's still wet. You've moistened them. The paint will not dry as quickly on the brush. So that's good. Okay. You want to just, while as you're painting, you want to be very careful with what you're doing. Just always control your water. If you go to clean out your brush, remember to kind of dry it off though a little bit so that you don't have all this drippy wet paint. Careful because color likes to get stuck in the ferrule, and then your brush may look really clean and then you go to paint with it and it's like, whoa, there's the red paint that I was just painting with because it's still stuck in here. So you got to make sure when you do clean your brush to get it out of this area. This ferrule and this heel is like our scalp. When we don't wash our hair good and don't really scrub things out of here, remember, like, our scalp gets really gunky and then it kind of transfers to the rest of our hair. So you really, when you're cleaning your brush, you got to really pay attention to that part, because if you don't, then paint starts to get gunked up and you'll take a good brush that's shaped like that and then this happens. This is like a bad head of hair where they're not properly cleaning their scalp, and I could literally see in here how there's dried up paint stuck in there. Okay, now speaking of washing your brushes, here we go. Okay, this is how to properly wash a brush. If we're together in classroom, we're going to use something called Murphy's Oil. It's a nice soap that helps wash your brush. But at home, you could still totally wash your brush very simply just with warm water. You can add a little soap too if you want, but just turn on your water and let your brush get underneath the water. And then you want to push up the bristles, and that'll help push the paint out of the ferrule and through the bristles. And you keep flipping it over, flip it over, flip it over, and keep doing that until the water runs clear. Okay. I like to kind of do a little Expelliarmus and get the water out that way. I like to dry it off. Some people, when they want to reshape their brushes, they put hair gel in it, which is fine because it kind of like washes out later on. I don't really do that. I never store my brushes sitting down, because then I could bend the brush like that and then it'll stay bent. And my mom's ruined my brushes that way and I really hate it. So I can hang them on a wall like that and keep them protected, or just store them standing up. Like, we have containers of storing your brushes like that. So I think that's pretty much it. Just make sure to take good care of your brushes. Remember, dip it in water first before you paint anything, and just take care of them like you would your head of hair.